All right, joining us now from Washington, D.C. with a look at Axios AM, co-founder and CEO of Axios, Mr. Jim Vandehei. Jim, great to have you with us on this Friday morning. Give it to us. What is Axios' one big thing?
Yeah, we're taking a look at how hard it is in the Democratic 2020 field for non-white candidates. At this moment right now, the four leading candidates, all white, have 4 times as much cash on hand as the 5 non-white Democratic candidates. And this points to a larger problem for non-white candidates, even in the Democratic Party, which has a much more diverse voting base, has more diversity in the House and Senate. It's still a lot harder for candidates who aren't white in the Democratic Party to raise a lot of money. And if you look at who the big donors are, the big donors tend to be wealthy white men. And that money tends to get directed and does have a real effect in the race. And so it's made it a little bit harder for your Kamala Harrises of the world to really thrive in a race where people thought you would have more diversity at the top of the field.
So let's talk a little bit about the exclusive data on the frequency of social media interactions that you guys have compiled for some of these 2020 candidates in the month of October. What is it revealing?
Yeah, Democrats have struggled to get as much attention as Donald Trump, especially when you're talking about impeachment. And for impeachment, you had that vote yesterday where you had this projection of unity. You know, every Republican voted against the impeachment proceedings. But behind the scenes, you're seeing real angst among Republicans about whether or not they can continue to be the party of Donald Trump, or whether they too, like Democrats, have to change with the changing demographics. For our Axios on HBO show this Sunday, you'll see Representative Hurd of Texas. You'll see Representative Crenshaw of Texas really wrestling what it's going to mean to be a Republican in a more diverse nation.
Jim, let's talk a little bit about the impeachment probe, if we can.
The Republican Party doesn't start looking like the rest of the country, there won't be a Republican Party in this country. But we know where the trends are going, and we know what we need to do.
I just don't take it as a given that because you're non-white that we should worry about you voting Democrat. And I think Democrats do take that for granted. You know, that's where that conversation comes from, this idea that your immutable characteristics should drive how you think, which is, I think there's a word for that. I think it's called racism.
You see Republicans really, I think, at this moment, looking especially at the state of Texas and seeing the demographics change and wondering if this is the election where that rising Hispanic population suddenly makes it a lot harder to compete at the national level. And this will be obscured a little bit in the next 3-4 months by impeachment. But behind the scenes, it is the #1 thing Republicans are thinking about as they look to the future.
Jim, as this week winds down, obviously a historic vote yesterday. What are you looking forward in the days and weeks ahead? What are you guys watching for?
I don't know. You watch a lot of the coverage and people say, oh, Republicans in the Senate might be breaking. There might be some that will turn on Donald Trump. I'd look to see if that's actually true. Other than Mitt Romney and a few others, nary a Republican is saying a negative thing about Donald Trump. That was every single Republican in the House just voted with Donald Trump on impeachment. Once he's impeached, and he will be impeached probably in November or December, and the question is he acquitted because Republicans stand with him? Right now, the polls, right now, the rhetoric suggests that they're going to stand with Donald Trump, and you got to check to see if a new evidence comes out and starts to truly persuade Republicans to go against the base. So far in the Trump presidency, it almost never happens.
All right, Jim Vandehei live in Washington, D.C. for us. Thank you very much. We're going to be reading Axios AM in just a bit. To all of our viewers out there, you too can sign up for that newsletter by going to signup.axios.com.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.